Warm welcome. And this last session of this retreat on which we can build and stay in this balance, I'm going to start with a drill for contemplation. Welcome back. One quote from a French poet, Adeline France. He said, "Change is the essence of life." And when Baba was talking about stability in the intellect, no other disturbance, the switch, it's the ability to come beyond this change and have this attitude, which is the soul from the home and supreme home. And what an amazing practice to come into the essence. And the way Baba's right now, no going in a circle. Another quote I wanted to share, that this is a German composer, Felix Mendelssohn, said, "The essence of the beautiful is unity in variety." Again, maybe when we are approaching this physical world of variety from this experience of the underlying unity, then we are kind of stable and can appreciate both worlds. yesterday, I liked this aspect that was brought, that when they first created the computer, the vision was that only 4 people might need it in the world. And this was the thinking at the time, amazingly. And now our understanding is different, but also grasping how to use computers. Now, even you probably have seen 18-month-old children using and playing games on computers. Maybe even a 1-year-old can use it. So same with this yogi life. It's not just for the privileged few, this lightness that was discussed yesterday. And it's not just a few that will grasp it. It's more that we are understanding. It helps others to understand this invisible player that is safe, truly safe, coming from the home, and holding the context of the drama, and staying in the essence and the expansion. So I would like to invite your thoughts and sharings, and looking forward to this day. At the end, we'll share details about next retreat. So warm welcome, and hello to Prashant.
Thank you. And welcome back. Good morning. Yes, nicely summarized things of yesterday. On the first day, we saw that there is the expansion of this big tree, human tree. And we said there is a seed reality and there is the expansion. By itself, it is completely normal for the seed and the tree to exist. It is normal. We don't have problem with expansion. But what we are questioning is getting deceived by the glitter and gold within the expansion, getting trapped in the expansion, losing the essence. Then it is imbalanced. When you are connected to the essence, and then you have the right attitude towards the expansion, then it is balanced, but there are rewards. And nature wants us to be connected to the essence. And we saw that underneath, behind all this, there is truth there. That is what is eternal and what is real. This expansion is in the form of the story. Yesterday, we also saw that this whole physical world, physical reality, what the expansion is, it is as if under a time bomb. And to innocently get trapped in it, to take support from this, it's a deception, because all of a sudden you find the supports are withdrawn and we are not prepared for it. That is what the whole world situation is. If something comes to them and they feel they are not prepared, it is unexpected, then that is deception. Whether you are in the political world or in the family world, personal life, if you are prepared for unexpected, then you are very sensible. So one who is yogi, one who is connected to the subtle and alaukic reality, one who knows of his immortality, knows of his world, he is approaching this entire physical world knowing that it has limitations. It is not surprised, not shocked by what may happen. Anything can happen. That's what we mentioned yesterday. If it is you are dealing with a story, if you are dealing with a theater, drama, if you are not taking support from it, then you actually enjoy it. If under deception you are taking support from it, then you can't even enjoy it. You are approaching it with confusion. So the word used is essence and expansion, but we were also seeing there is wisdom in coming into the essence, not getting deceived. And it flips when you are free from Ravan. What was potential is something that can shake you. What was meant to shake you, it actually swings you. So let us create a few minutes of attention. So some simple steps for us. And first step for us is use the best sight, best intellect. There is no reason ever to use the second best. We all have the best intellect. And once we are using that, we are able to see the way God sees. There is no reason why we should go for something less than that. Whole knowledge is this. See the way God sees. So first thing we hear in the knowledge, if we are dealing with a drama. And drama is drama. We are dealing with a story. First step. First thing we hear is the one who is watching this drama is the invisible soul. And so this invisible soul right now is also the invisible observer, and he's also the invisible player. He's also the invisible traveler. We are aware of his existence. If this attention was not there, then we are not soul conscious. Soul consciousness doesn't happen by itself. Our resting state in the present world, it is very much ego-centered. We are straight into that deep end in the story. So now the invisible player is observing this. And for him, everything that is happening here in front right now, Prashant talking, and if there is some traffic, and if there is whatever is going on, this is happening in this episode story. If there is wind and if there is cloud, this is all different special effects within the story. Great performance. In this story, there are good guys, bad guys, jokers, dragons, variety. That itself becomes an extraordinary wonder if we see this as a story. For the invisible player. Invisible player sees himself as a presence. maybe in the image of a tiny point. And this invisible player, he has his world, and his world is extremely subtle. We see it in the image of the sky, world of light, expanse. But it is the main thing, most important thing for the invisible player, because that is his world. That is where his true family is. It is not just a meditation experience. His family, they also are in the same form. They all are like tiny stars. Each one is seeing himself as a presence. All are immortal. And they got this extraordinary quality, character. They need nothing. Ignorant of the word desire, it applies to them. They exist forever without any needs. They themselves are immortal and their world is eternal. And they exist forever without any needs. And when there are no needs, there are no disappointments. All complications that we ordinarily see in this world, they disappear when there are no needs. No comparisons and no competitions and no anxieties. They need nothing from anywhere. Certainly, they need nothing from the story. No energy of desperation. No, that Ravan's energy. Ichcha matram avidya. Ignorant of the word desire. And when there is no desperation, they experience that supreme silence, supreme peace. They exist forever and they know nothing can harm them. Nothing in the three worlds can harm them, even the slightest. What an empowering thing to know. These two aspects, they need nothing and they are beyond harm. These two realizations are very empowering. They are never a beggar and never a victim. Then what happens? Right now we are experimenting with this. This personality is trying to get feel of it. Anyone who understands this, what remains is fun. They see everything with the attitude of fun. They feel silence is fun and sound is fun, lorry sound is fun. It's come go. Dragon is a fun and King Kong is a fun. Because they themselves are beyond harm. Nothing can harm them, even the slightest. They also can afford to be completely innocent. They don't need that Ravan's cleverness. Streetwise, they don't need to be dexterous to survive. Like the father, Lord of Innocence. They all are like this. That's why we use the language childlike, and they are godlike. This is the original personality of each and every one. All souls are like this. Clean and innocent and harmless, and they themselves know they're beyond harm. And in this environment, they experience their original greatness and beauty. Contentment, bliss, peace, love, the full wonder of the angelic soul. They experience it. Each one is experiencing it. That's why the invisible player knows the greatness and the wonder of his world. This world is a world of bliss and love. Any place is created by those who live there. Greatness of the place is based on the people, greatness of the people. Here, the residents of this home are godlike. We understand if the souls are like this, what would be the Father? What is the personality of the Father who is forever in truth, always for us, helps others come out of this ignorance. All we have done is use the highest intellect. That's all. And we are experiencing what already exists. We don't need to create anything. This whole dimension already exists. Just that we were imbalanced and stuck in that little story. Obsessed, thinking in some cyclical ways, some petty things. That is one life. So here we are seeing what exists. And we are underlining that this is the main thing. It is not just a meditation experience. This is the true family, true home, true father, true self, true treasures. This experience of bliss and security and love and your immortality. You realize you need nothing else. You need nothing. You got the highest and the best already. We also realize every second that we are creating time here, our attention in this dimension is of great value. This attention is like creating light. You shine light. And it will make it easy for others to see their essence. It might help them to come out of the expansion. And in that sense, it becomes the most essential contribution to the world, because it is the need of the hour. If this essence is not experienced, then they can go on forever in the mindset of a beggar and a victim. Thank you. It would be nice to hear some thoughts from you.
Thank you. One area that would be interesting to explore is holding the essence when we're also understanding knowledge and also in our yoga. So that was one thing that came up here, and questions in the chat. Who's in charge of the story? Is it Maya? If that's the case, how can we enjoy it? It seems that what we enjoy is our newfound spiritual immunity, from where we derive this protection, confidence, guidance, and self-satisfaction, but not necessarily enjoyment from the story when we are in the middle of it, of the drama.
Sure. The first question is
Yeah,
to come.
Yeah, who's in charge of the story? Is it Maya?
The first question.
Yeah, that before that was my own
Sure.
of interest about the essence of knowledge and yoga.
Yeah. Who is in charge of the story? Story is neutral. And just like there are many stories, there are stories. And it is up to us how I observe the story. Say there is someone writes a story. We have a neighbor here who writes stories. And sometimes some institutions like BBC, they say, oh yes, they like this story. And they want to make a film based on it. And then they can make a three-dimensional big, some performance maybe, and it become a big thing, but it is still a story. In the same way here, this is a story, no different to Tom and Jerry story. Someone writes a script and there's a story. And then it may take a big form, and there's a huge extravaganza created around the story. It's so convincing and so sophisticated. Question is, are the players deceived by this? That is the question. If you are not deceived, then you are in charge. You are in charge of yourself. That is the most important. And then you are watching the story. As we said, any story, Mickey Mouse. But if one is confused, then the game changes completely. Someone is confused, he can cry when he's watching Mickey Mouse also. And that is what we mean. Once that confusion comes in, ignorance comes in, then ego flourishes, Ravan flourishes, and they become entrenched. They become so, they're very stubborn in error. That is the quality of Ravan. But we don't say anybody else is in charge of the story. The story is neutral.
Thank you. Yeah, to clarify another question about the drama, is there no connection of our story to our karma, the lessons that we are learning from the story?
That most important aspect of the karma is how much I create bondage in this physical world. That is happening inside me. So externally in that script, there is some script going on. But I'm just creating thoughts. And in the thoughts, I'm creating bondages. I'm creating karma in the sense. By that, I'm creating Ravan, giving birth to ego. That is the real karma. Going in the ignorance, direction of ignorance, and then nourishing ego, nourishing Ravan. Drama may be very simple drama. Holy man, you are playing the part of a holy man. But in your mind, you are creating attachments to things. That is where the real karma is.
It feels
also,
like
we have the option to why we are emphasizing, use the best intellect, to remain connected to the real world, remember God. Why this is emphasized? So that your inner life is in the right posture. You are positioning yourself the right way, not deceived by the story. And then you are doing the highest karma.
Yes, that's helpful. Could we add that it feels like this karma, which is at two levels. One is the karma on the sinking boat in the party, and if there's some cake stolen, there may be a lesson in the story about someone, stealing your cake or something. But the actual important karma and action is happening at the level of the rescue mission, which is where we need the inner position to be right and everything you've said.
Yeah. But the emphasis we are placing is, at least what the emphasis Baba places, is at the level of consciousness. That's why every Murli you will hear, get the soul consciousness right, get your remembrance right, be yogi, and help others also come in that awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts.
Is the aim of the story to know the real potential of the invisible traveler?
I won't say that. As we mentioned yesterday, story is just their entertainment. Any story is there for entertainment.
a little earlier you mentioned we don't have to create anything. And the comment was, if we are here, isn't it because there's something to do or something to express? So do you think we should give up on doing these things? That's the question.
Now, when that expression was used, we are not creating a home soul world. We are not creating, generating happiness, peace. We are not creating the family of souls. This big reality already exists. Your home exists, your family exists, love exists, happiness exists, celestial dance already exists. And but the attention is somewhere else. So it is with that meaning. Just like we give the example sometimes, a prince forgets he's a prince, thinks he's a beggar, very convinced he's a beggar, and spending his life as a beggar. And he's told, you are a prince. He doesn't need to start planning how to become a prince. He already is a prince. He just needs to drop his confusion and discover he already owns the treasures and he already belongs to the king. All that is required is drop confusion. Exactly the same is the story with all of us. So it becomes easy when we understand. Game is so simple. That's why the paras and all is very, very useful in this game. Otherwise, stone intellect will distort things. They will hear these as prince, but they want to make the beggar into a prince.
Yeah, that's a helpful example and making it clear. There was just a follow-up question. The comment is he is apologizing but doesn't feel that the wars, earthquakes, tsunamis, and what we are seeing in the world cannot find that entertaining because it leaves a lot of pain when it occurs. I know we sort of touched on this yesterday, but if you wanted to.
Sure.
Anything.
People pay money to watch war films. They pay money to see horror films. They pay money to see the films of terrorists. All kinds of films exist, and a huge industry. People are actually paying to watch this. So different people, they go and watch. Some faint also. In London there is one film called Saw 3, and ambulances were kept busy because people were fainting when they were watching this film. Men especially were fainting. So they go to watch these horror films, and some of them faint, but some find them entertaining. That may not be my priority to go and watch the horror films, but it is happening. Once you understand, no one is hurt, and no one is, no one dies. When you understand this, you are able to see it differently. It will be very nice to watch that clip. I'm talking to Sarah. If it is possible, it will be nice to watch that.
Yes, it just came in my mind. It feels like it illustrates this point really well. Shall we play it now?
Yes.
So it's a clip from experiences of mountain climbers in from Switzerland more than 100 years ago, and it's out-of-body experiences explaining some of these ideas. That we'll play it now. It's about 1 minute. Just check the sound. It's going to come through well.
Back in 1892, there was an article published in the yearbook of the Swiss Alpine Club. Albert von St. Gallenheim was a geology professor who decades earlier had been hiking in the Alps and fell. And as he fell, he kind of left his body and watched his body repeatedly crashing into the rocks as it was falling. And he wrote in his account of it that he had previously watched people fall, and it was terrifying to watch someone fall. But when he himself was falling, it was a blissful experience. And he said he watched himself getting bloodier and bloodier, and he was totally detached from it. And time seemed to stop for him. The faster he fell, the slower time got for him. And he had time to think about how he needed to twist around as he was falling, so he landed in a snowdrift rather than on the rocks. He had time to think about whether he should take his glasses off so he wouldn't break them. He thought about the class he was supposed to teach next week. He thought about his loved ones who he left behind. All this in a matter of a few seconds while he was falling. And he was so stunned by this experience that he started asking other climbers. And he quickly found 30 other cases and published his collection of 30 cases in the yearbook of the Swiss Alpine Club in 1892.
It's so powerful, his experience, that image. Yeah. I don't know if it helps the one asking questions, or if Prashant wants to add anything, if it was clear, the story.
Yes. Well, it just sort of shows how the perspective changes when we are soul conscious. That is what but it also shows when we are caught, when we are in our body consciousness, something appears. It's so different. Perspectives are different. But enough, if we get a glimpse, if we were to be totally soul conscious, how are we going to see this whole performance when you know that you are completely beyond harm, not even the slightest, and everyone else is safe? How are we going to see this? We have the ability to get a glimpse of this, and we need to practice it, come in that space. Today I was going to come to another subject. We mentioned so far that there is this expansion, and we also mentioned in our life also, in the spiritual life, there are subjects of knowledge, and we go into the details. Like right now, for example, we are going into these different subjects and going into retreats. This is expansion. Service is expansion. Virtues, to even understand this is expansion. Understanding yoga, that is also expansion. And you hear in the transmission, Baba repeatedly says, okay, you perform the action, and in 1 second, come out of it completely. Come to your, the point, experience the soul, coming back to the essence. And so Baba is not saying don't go into expansion at all. There is an expansion, but there is essence. And we mentioned about having a balance. And what we are really seeing, that nature has made us to to be in these two dimensions, expansion and essence. And this you will see right at the level of the brain also. So it's just coming to that subject briefly. Some of us heard some aspects of this. If we see the brain, and there are these two hemispheres. Surprisingly, they are not completely equal. There is a little inequality in these two hemispheres. And there is the left side and there is the right side. And these two sides have functions that are different. This I'm talking here in a large majority. There are all kinds of little variations in some. So on the left side, functions are like language, mathematics, science, analysis, logic. These are the kind of functions you will see on the left side. And the right side, the functions that you will see, they include, the synthesis and the ideas and creative thinking and music. The certain functions are on the right side. The holistic thinking. These are the right side functions. Not going into too much detail today because we all saw this in a proper presentation in the past, and it is there on the your recordings. Now the essence of all the left side functions we spoke about, say language, mathematics, analysis. The essence of all the common factor on the left side functions is going into expansion. This is the common trait. Science is like a very good example of this. They see some atom. They want to know what is within it. They want to go into the details, try to understand the function. And they found within the atom, there are more subatomic particles. Okay, what is within the subatomic particle? They want to go into more details, know about his bosons and know about his electrons. Go into the details, details of details. That is very much the left side. Right side is trying to come into the essence. Holds the. That's why synthesis. This function happens on the right side. Opposite of analysis. Analysis is one side, synthesis. And we said we go through life with these two dimensions, or two opposite functions. And one is holding the space. The right side is holding that space, essence, holistic thought. And whereas left side goes into the details. And we also mentioned play is a good example of this. And that's we are all the time emphasizing here. Some other people may say, oh, right side is more important. People are so in the West, we all are left side, left brain person. We want right side. Right side is more important. We don't say that way. We say both are important. And we are made, nature has made us like this. And even these functions, even though we see it at the level of the brain, it is really happening beyond the brain. That is, these functions are happening at the soul level. The brain is the level where we see it in science. But we are using that language today. So we said play is the time when you are seeing this paradox, where both functions are happening, essence and expansion. And how? When it is a play, you are approaching the world, you want to, you go, let us see the right side functions, what is happening. you have the attitude. What is the attitude? If say right now we say, we don't have a discussion. We are going to make two teams. I'm going to play a game. The moment you say it's a game, the play, you say it is fun. There's some feelings that come. You feel nothing matters. If you win or lose, nothing matters. You feel it is not serious. You feel light. Even though others are playing against you, you feel friendly and you love them. There is acceptance. These sort of attitudes come. The moment you are playing a game, you are relaxed about it. You are saying, okay, you know the game. It is not going to affect your life. A game finishes in half an hour, and then your life is whether you lose or win, it is not going to affect your life. So you say, okay, it is not serious. You are very secure. Even if you lose, you are secure. Okay, sure. So it is fun. Now the left side kicks in, and you are going there to play, but you are going there to win. You want to score as much as possible. You want to go into such details, to know what skills you have to use and how to use. You say it is serious. You are the one who said it is not serious. And now you are the one who says it is serious. You internally feel that. And you see this paradox. And very fascinating, the same person is having these two opposite attitudes at the same time. This happens in the game. So he's not saying it's the game, I'm not playing, I'm going home. No, he's playing. He's playing to win. And he's want to score as much as possible. At the same time, he is holding the space, that holistic space. And he knows how to fall. He knows how to lose. And he knows things are okay. Even if he gets 0 score, it is okay. His self-respect is not wrapped up with that score in that half an hour game. He knows something more. Now, what we have seen here is a beautiful balance of this essence and expansion. That's when we get a game, and game is a time where we all enjoy the most. There is the most creative people are within the sport. Even in the medical world, they tell those who play, even for half an hour, they have significantly less physical health problems and significantly less mental health problems. But it has to be a game like a game. If you change the game into a war, like you have to get a gold medal, then they will have mental health problems because it becomes a imbalanced game. But if you are playing game as a game, it is these people have significantly less physical health problems and significantly less mental health problems. What happens? Balance, something falls in place. We don't need evidence there. We ourselves know this. You just need to do this for even those who are not used to this. Get into the field and take the bag, get into the game, and you will find these different chemicals come in the body. And it is because at a deep level, there is a balance happening. What happens in this half an hour game? What we are really saying here, this whole knowledge and what we are, when we are talking about soul consciousness and invisible player. For the invisible player, this life is a game. It is not just half an hour game and then rest of the time it is a work or a war, but for the invisible player, this life itself is a game. And the golden age is a time when it is absolutely like that. Life is a game. And they know that their reality is beyond this game. As we often show, we show in that image of there is this world, but we also show that our world is beyond. This attitude has to go into our system. When we are imbalanced, we are drowning into this world in such an imbalanced way that it doesn't look like a game. More we grow in soul consciousness, we will discover that everyone is safe, everyone is immortal, and you yourselves are immortal. This, what is happening here, is extra. It cannot harm you. And the moment you see something as extra, it becomes a game. Attitude is a game. It may be so big. Everything is on a different scale here. That's why we need the Paris intellect to grasp this bigger PlayStation and bigger game in our eternal existence. And then it is like natural. You are enjoying this world, you are performing the best, coming from the highest attitude within you. You play to win, you also know how to fall, and you also know how to start again. Let us hear some thoughts from you, from what we heard so far.
I think everyone is busy with synthesis. I know I am, but it's, one comment in the chat. It's helpful to remember that it is predestined and accurate. And then the emotions are taken out of the drama and the soul is experiencing its reality. And there's no death. So it's fascinating that the golden age is when we know it is a game. And I was thinking, by having this space now, we are able to then think bigger. Like we might have more big. The ambition itself for golden age is a huge thing. But the more one is detached, the more impact actually one can have and contribute. One question from a little earlier. Do you feel we create bondages with like high drama or drastic events, and then we end up dwelling on it? And in that case, we should be more detached because we have no control over these things. Any comments?
Of course, we have to approach this drama with that highest consciousness all the time. Our aim should be that. It doesn't appear like a detachment. It's just becoming normal. We want to come out of this abnormal attitude. Someone is playing a game and creates attachment to the ball, doesn't want to let go of the ball. That is abnormal attitude. The game is, you are seeing the game as a game, you got your world beyond. We want to come in that attitude in a natural way. Then high drama, low drama, you all find everything is fun. They all have their richness in different ways.
Thank you. Yeah, it's helpful. So I think, yeah, another question here. Everyone is safe as a question. Some maybe leave the body in difficult situations such as earthquakes or bombs. Is everyone emotionally safe? I guess that's a question.
Of course. Well, the only one who gets all these traumas and all, make a guess, who is the one who experiences trauma and panic attacks and Ravan within us? You know, if Ravan is removed, then there are no emotional problems. So instead of dealing with a therapist and all this, we want to remove Ravan. I want to read a short passage where Baba is talking on the essence and expansion. If it is okay.
Yes, it's good.
So this is, I will tell the date right now. It is 5th of April 1970. Do all of you wish to just listen or become complete? First, you have to listen and then you have to become complete. You have heard many points. What is the form of all these points that you have to become? The essence is to become a point yourself. The essence of all points is included in becoming a point. A point is extremely subtle. Everything is merged within it. What is the main effort at present? Your effort at present is to merge the expansion. Those who know the method to merge the expansion become equal to Baptada. You were told previously too that you need two powers, to merge and to pack up. Those who know how to pack up also know how to merge. Which power does a seed have? That of having the expansion of a tree merged within itself. So what effort do you have to make now to stabilize yourselves in the seed stage? That is, to merge all expansion. Check this. It is easy to create expansion. But has it become easy to merge expansion? Even scientists want to come to the essence. Those with the power of science are copying all of you who have the power of silence. Whatever effort you, Shakti army, is making, those with the power of science are making the same effort. First is the army of silence. You create an invention. Then the scientists create that invention in their own way. Just as it is being refined here, in the same way, science is also getting refined there. Whatever things they previously used to find impossible, they are now becoming possible. In the same way, impossible things are becoming possible and easy here. The main effort you now have to make is bring yourselves closer to everyone. It should be just as easy to go beyond sound as it is to come into sound. This is called the stage of being close to perfection. So nice. Some words from Baba directly on the subject of essence and expansion and its connection with silence and leading the way for science. First, silence. Silence have to create the invention that makes it easy for silence, the science. But also, Baba is connecting it to perfection and being like the Father, seed stage. So all of this is linked to coming to the essence. And we are emphasizing, we are still coming into expansion, but you are balanced. You are not in an imbalanced way.
The request for the date of this, Murli?
Yeah. 5th of April 1970. So if it is time for rooms, I'm very happy to arrange that.
Yeah, that sounds good. And is there anything you'd like to highlight for the discussion today?
This area of the connection between essence and perfection. Coming beyond sound, how to make it easy.
Yes.
There are nice areas Baba underlined.
Yeah, that's nice. We put that in the chat. Okay, so yes, lovely opportunity to meet others, and do take advantage. It's maybe your contribution will also be a really nice way to help others and hear from others as well. So great, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll meet back and we have a guest speaker afterwards, as well as questions and practice. So enjoy and see you shortly. Hopefully you made it back safely and you can hear. Not sure if the sound is working. Yes. So any translation, you just need to unmute again. Let's take this minute to synthesize what was shared in the discussion and get the essence and the experience, and then we're going to hear from our guest speakers. Thank you. Always enjoy these moments of shared silence, of course, music and the story as well. Now, we're really lucky, I think, to have you all connected, but especially those who have more challenging physical surroundings. And we have Ananta, who I think call dropped and now back. Ananta's joining from Haiti. And I think early morning, because we could hear the cockerel in the background. So and it'll be lovely to hear from you and your reflections today. Warm welcome and good morning.
And good morning and good afternoon to all. Let me apologize to the group for my sudden departure. We've been having lots of interruptions here in Haiti, as you can imagine, since yesterday. So I wasn't even sure I could join you this morning, but things worked out and I did. And then I had a blackout and now I'm back. So let me make full use of the short time we have. Well, in terms of being ever ready, yesterday was a very good test. But of course, in Haiti, we have these tests all the time. And that allowed for us to be as prepared as we can be. You know, there is every kind of upheaval here. The recent assassination and lockdown and all the other things. Prior to that, the same earthquake, the same hurricane that devastated Puerto Rico threatened Haiti, and we were forced to evacuate. And one of the things that came out of that emergency was that I realized that no amount of, physical preparation could prepare you for an evacuation. Certainly, you can always have your kit prepared with everything that you need. But I remember having hours to decide what to evacuate with, and eventually just left with a change of clothing and some fruit, maybe some money and my phone, all of which was very, very limited. And I realized that as I was waiting out the storm through the night. So we put together a course here that we call spiritual evacuation, because what we want to have with us is what will last us beyond the temporary period. Of course, no amount of food and water will last you. You can't carry that much. And even more important, if you have to evacuate the very body you're in, you want to be prepared for that. And so the list of items we came up for that spiritual evacuation kit was will, determination, faith, courage, and confidence. And we designed ways of how we could increase our supply of those, even as we are getting prepared. And so yesterday really brought that to home in a more vivid way, because when the shaking began, I was close to the door, so I immediately exited and waited outside until the aftershocks would have passed. But for the people closer to the epicenter, I returned to the home and I was fine. But for those who could not return, they would be in that position we were describing, where now you're on your own. In fact, when I walked outside, I didn't even have shoes on. So most of the people who are in evacuation situations are, as you see them, they're refugees. They're coming from tsunamis and storms and so on. And sometimes with the fires, you have minutes to get out. And so that feeling of being terrified and alone and afraid is only comforted if you understand and appreciate that you have everything that you need with you. And I, for a minute or two, when I walked out the door, felt that fear. But clearly, thanks to all of the work we've been doing, and I just had 2 days of this class, I was clearly able to adjust and just be comforted in knowing that I would be okay. And like I said, I felt certain that I would be fine. One other thing about being ever ready and having preparation is that you want to be able to share yourself, especially in an emergency. And if what you have is water and maybe a change of clothes and some mangoes, there's not much sharing you can do. In fact, you might be reluctant to share. But if what you're sharing is will and determination and faith and courage and confidence, then you have an unlimited supply. And as you all know, the more of that you share, the more you will get. And so the thing I would want to say to everyone this morning is that what's happening in Haiti, and I don't just mean the earthquake and the political upheaval and all of the other things you've been hearing about, the hospital system, and everything that's not working. What I want to say is that is coming to a neighborhood near you. And I think of Haiti as the canary in the coal mine. So what's happening here is coming to a neighborhood near you. And what you need to be doing is not stocking up on water and beans and rice and whatever else you might think you need for your physical evacuation kit, but really strengthen yourself spiritually, because that is what will sustain you and sustain you beyond the emergency. And even, of course, if you have to leave your body, you are taking those supplies with you. The will and the determination and the faith and the courage and the confidence that goes with you. So I felt extremely fortunate yesterday and today. The phone lines have been jammed. People have been calling, asking how we're doing. And I was able to let them know that we're fine. Of course, we were not in the immediate epic zone where everything was crumbling around us. But the point I was making is that had I not been able to come back into Baba's home, I know that I would have been fine, because everything I needed, I had with me. And so your physical evacuation kit, as was the case with me yesterday, I didn't even think about my passport and my money and my phone. I just went right out the door with no shoes on. And that's how prepared that you need to be. So I'm really glad to be here with you this morning and to share that with you and let you know the family in Haiti is fine. And we are as ready as we can be for what is. We are always at the ready here anyway. But yesterday was just another reminder. And again, just understand and appreciate what time it is. Om Shanti.
Yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity to hear from you and make it alive for all of us. And we feel so connected. And absolutely, today, tomorrow, we're all here and experiencing the very same things will be very soon for all of us. So you really brought it alive with your fresh experience, and we really feel the spirit is beyond all boundaries and taking this treasure with us. So nice. Everyone is waving to you. It's lovely. We're going to travel now very quickly from Haiti and staying south. We're going to be traveling to South Africa now. See how things in South Africa. If Belinda probably can't unmute right now, so there you go. Welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, Ananta, thank you so much for that experience. Not sure that there's anything to add, because when there's that kind of provocation, then it's, as they say, where the rubber hits the road. So thank you so much for that. We had a very lovely conversation in the group, which really started off about, how to make going beyond sound more natural, when even physically there's a lot happening. And I'm sure that was part of the experience that Ananta had yesterday. And there was we came back to the question of the mind, and that the silence is really happening or not happening at the level of the mind. And the mind will either be taken over by the awake soul or by the ego, depending on the perspective of what's happening in the film or the story. And if the perspective is that the story is the only reality or the dominant reality, it's very challenging to try to get the mind under control, because in a sense, the mind is being triggered either by Pata intellect or Paras intellect. And of course, what we're aiming for is for the mind to be guided by Paras. So the other thing that was spoken about was this aspect of the game and the lightness that is experienced when this perspective is clear that this is a game. And that's when there can be sufficient inner clarity to pick up on the subtle, like the touching and catching power that, for example, in a situation like the one that Ananta found himself in, one needed some presence of mind so that there can be clarity, and what is perhaps important can come to mind. And we've all had that experience where when there's panic, fear, worry, there isn't that clarity within. And the mind just goes into panic mode, and there's a jumble of thoughts. And even if there's some awareness that it's important to come back above the line, sometimes it's not possible because the ego mind is just running amok, as it were. So, yeah, that was important. And there was a lovely definition of the essence that came up: truth, knowledge, and light. And of course, these are the components that are taking us to that perfection, which will make us Bab Saman, equal to the Father. And perhaps a good starting point always is just the reminder of the immortal self who is beyond harm. And I'm sure these are some thoughts that Ananta was using, that nothing in the three worlds can ever harm the soul. So these were some thoughts from our group. Many thanks.
Thank you. And we really enjoy hearing from different people because it triggers different realizations. And the necessity to get Paras active so that we can get the mind under control. Otherwise, ego mind for sure, when ego is ruling the mind, it's like from one corner of the story to the other. And so this clean break and clear seeing, which we're practicing now, not waiting for the emergency. And we have a little time, and I would like to hear from Prashant a little bit more, maybe about how to hold the essence, even in knowledge. And sometimes, for example, the Murli is in a way a huge variety of topics get discussed and details. So something about holding the essence, to experience knowledge in the right way, and also maybe something about holding the essence in meditation. If there's anything you wanted to share, it would be lovely to hear.
Yeah, sure. And first want to say hello to Anant. Nice, very nice to see you. And Anant has been to Cambridge, and now it may be time for you to visit again, after lots of tests and passing with good marks. Other thing want to also touch, we are using the language of fun, but we are not meaning flippant. We are using the language, but to understand it the right way. It is not that you are looking forward to that, some situation. You are not looking for a dragon on the screen. That is abnormal. But when situations come, you are dealing with lightness. That is what the emphasis is. In a hospital kind of setting, sometimes you get people, nurses, doctors, who have the natural attitude of lightness. Serious people come, and there's a life or death, this kind of situation. And they are doing things, but the energy is, there is serious, but they are also light. And they can smile. If there's something they are free to address it with a little lightness. These are the people who end up helping more people. Those who cry, because situations are of all kinds, they someone has to look after them. They are the ones who have to take time off work, and they got compassion fatigue. Those complications come. And so we are using the language of fun in a small situations. We all don't get these big situations of a dragon around us, but small situations on a daily basis, things come. And when you are in that higher consciousness, you respond with that energy of lightness and feeling of fun. And it's you see it as a joke. These small things, you see it as a unexpected joke. And that is, and we need to grow in that. If we understand that we have that option, then you will have that space when the bigger challenges come, bigger situations come. And what Sarah has been talking, holding the essence, and whilst in our Brahmin life, it will be nice if Sarah conducts meditation for a few minutes with that essence and the expansion at some point today. But let me share, when we are dealing with the Murli, then one is the little Murli, Sakaro or Avyak. And then there are so many things there, in one Murli. So you take the points, and that is one way. But other is understand that the essence of the whole thing, even right now in the Murli that we read, Baba said, is a point. Become the point. So hold on to that soul awareness. Soul is listening to the Murli, and these different aspects of knowledge that you hear, they are just reinforcing. They are making it richer. That point that you are holding on to, these different aspects, they are connected. And you see the different facets of knowledge, different angles to it. But that original experience becomes richer as you go along. Sometimes in the first paragraph, you may see one message. Baba has something in the mind he wants to build on that through the Murli. And you may be right, but try and grasp what is the message. If someone starts with a certain subject, there is reason behind it. And then see the link for that. And you as if hold on to the essence, and then every detail connects, fits in nicely with the essence. And then you are enjoying it in another level. So that is with the Murli. Based on what Ananta is saying, ever ready, recently it came in the Murli, when there is an attitude of being ever ready, you are ever happy. And this is a very, very precious thing for all of us to underline this, ever ready, in a big way, ever ready for anything that can come. If you take that position, you need to be in the highest consciousness. Ever ready means this moment, not just death. Death, many people might say, I'm ready for death. But am I ever ready for an unexpected scene? People that you know, they behave differently, they say things. Are you prepared? That is ever ready. If I'm not prepared for these small things, and I say I'm ever ready for, for destruction. No, destruction is not just death and you go. In fact, we won't be able to go and that easily. Ever ready means I am free from the story. You can put a full stop to the chapter. Many things are happening. Big situations are happening in front of you. And you can put a full stop to the chapter. For that, we have to be embodiment of knowledge. Story really has to become story for you. It really needs to become small. And practice is necessary for a period of time. To see if there's something that happened in a story right now. We mentioned this. Prashant is talking right now. This is happening in a story. And you are able to put a full stop and really create time to engage with the real world beyond. So I won't take too much time. You have to create some time for experiencing the essence during meditation.
Thank you. Very nice. And just checking if there are any questions that have come up. Yes, coming to the point how we can manage even our discussions and expansion. Coming to the point rather than going into any unnecessary expansion. When you said it's to hold and strengthen the essence, I think that was very helpful. And that it is to keep us strong. So yeah, for a couple of minutes, I'd like to share what I found helpful in meditation. So without changing anything in the drama, whilst this Zoom call and whatever else is happening, we're just lighting up that awareness of two stars. This sovereign soul and the Father. And whatever else is happening is part of the expansion. Even the commentary is in the expansion. And the sounds. we are acknowledging these two stars in their meaningful silence. In the light of immortality of the home, these two stars. That have a bond of love that no other thing can break. No amount of expansion can break the love between these two stars. Meaningful space and atmosphere. And it's the silence of the prince. Silence with fullness. It's the backdrop upon which everything else happens. It's not complicated. Knowledge is to help strengthen and consolidate the simplicity of these two stars. Not needing anything and being free from harm. It is the sovereign soul, independent completely from the character, the story. And so this silent song is there, whether the call is here of the company or any other variability. Thank you. And so much happiness from simplicity, because sometimes even it's so much just like an ocean. We sort of leave the retreat thinking, I think I need to watch it all again. And that's great, isn't it? There's so much every time. Just in that Merli extract, it's like extraordinary. But at the same time, it's like this complement of two stars and finding this supporting. So I'm going to share about the next retreat shortly, but before that, just an invitation if Prashant wanted to share any final thoughts.
And the essence is very nice meeting you all, and it was pleasure. We all help each other. It is nice to enjoy this atmosphere. So look forward to meeting again soon.
Absolutely. We're just amazed how we are able to connect, and a big gratitude from the atmosphere that we all create together, and special thanks to the translators and co-hosting team. So we'll meet again, and we will share about 3 weeks' time. The retreat is on Smriti awareness, which should be very rich. So see you again soon. Thank you, everyone.
Heart, within the heart of everything I see, behind the eyes, beyond the skies, reflecting me at the silent core. And yet before horror phenomena began, oh, and after it, I am. Oh, many differences separate us on the surface, yes. But I cannot find a boundary in consciousness. And when you ask me, where does awareness begin and does it end? I have to say, I've always been